This is a tribute for Professor Yirmiyahu, Professor Branover, Rebbe Yirmiyahu Ben Hertz. I knew Professor Branover. I interviewed him, I believe, in 1995 when I was working on my book, Conversations with the Rebbe, and the entire interview is there, a verbatim interview, very interesting. I want to tell you, he was a Russian Yid. He was a refusnik, and he was a Baal Teshuvah, became a Baal Teshuvah in Russia, I believe, in the late 70s. The late 60s. He was close with Reb Mendel Futterfass, with my Shver Reb Chaim Serebransky, with many other Russian Chassidim. When I interviewed him, he had an Edelkeit, soft-spoken, bright as bright can be. He was a world scientist. And what caught my attention is his commitment to the Rebbe. To Chassidus, he got that in Russia and then Eretz Yisrael, but he became glued to the Rebbe, like the biggest Chassid, because he was the biggest Chassid. And for someone with such a scientific head, someone who was trained in Russia with science, which at the time was the antithesis of Torah, mitzvahs, and belief in Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for him to turn over, transform himself, and see that Torah's emes, Hashem Echad Shmoyach, God is one, His name is one, and that the Rebbe is the Nasi Dereinu and the Tzaddik Hadoir, and he had even had Geishim feelings that the Rebbe is Mashiach. I'm just saying, it amazes me till today. You're not talking here about a little person, someone who does nothing. This is a major figure in world science and accomplishments in world matters. Another thing, Dr. Branover, the Rebbe pushed shluchim, many, to support him and to get financial support for him. So, for example, Reb Shalom Ber Lipsker of the famous shul in Miami, in Surfside over there, Bell Harbor, he told me that Rebbe Mamish asked him to help Branover, and he had big connections, and he did. Branover's achievements were amazing. He was the editor of the journal called Be'or HaTorah, which was Torah and Science. And Rabbi Lipsker made a science conference in Torah, and I think it was based and started with Be'or HaTorah, I believe. Also, something that maybe is more unknown, and I wrote about this in one of the books, but I forget now where, that the Rebbe wanted Lipsker and others to put Dr. Branover, Professor Branover, on a platform that he should be a recipient, a candidate to receive the Nobel Prize. I don't believe it ever happened. I don't know why, but it was clear from the Rebbe that he needs to gain popularity and acceptance in all fields by Jews and lahavdil non-Jews, that Nobel Prize will put him over the top. And I believe they were working on it. Why it didn't work out, I don't know. Being a refusnik, other refusniks, right? This refusnik, it was a refusnik who became a real chassid, a real Lubavitcher chassid. And it's one thing to be a refusnik. It's an accomplishment. It's great, Shabbat great. But when you're a refusnik and you become Chabad with your full beard, long beard, it was probably so long it was curled under, nicely done. It was just about, you looked very, very, I don't know, stylish, but very put together and beautiful face. It's, to become Chabad is not easy. To be a Lubavitcher, a real Lubavitcher Chassid, a emes Lubavitcher Chassid, with everything I said before about his commitment to Chabad and to the Rebbe and Chassidus, and tremendous. I also remember, I believe, the Fabrengen, where the Rebbe spoke about building an area in Yerushalayim for Russian scientists that were coming out. And I believe standing behind the Rebbe was Shlomo Medanchik and Branover, Professor Branover, Rebbe Yirmiyahu Branover. I think they might have been standing. The Rebbe spoke the Sikha, from what I remember, with closed eyes. Definitely part of the Sikha, with closed eyes. It was a very heavenly type of Sikha. All of a sudden, he's calling for this building of an area, and at the end, it was built, and that's what Seitek is. Seitek was the company that he started, and the area was in Ramot, like where there's Ramot Aleph, Beis Gimel, not in Yerushalayim. One of them, I think Ramot Dalet, maybe was the area where Seitek was. Later, his son, his only child, Professor Branover's Danny Branover, took over the company. I don't know what's the situation today, but Branover was a mainstay in helping Russian immigrants who came in, and many of them were scientists and educated to have a job and have a place and contribute to the country. And it did a lot of special work, good work. He was 94, he passed on. His wife passed on many years before. I recall seeing him walking with an aide on Eastern Parkway, the service lane. He's a part of the Chabad annals. He's a part of our history. And a person like this passes on, and he passed 770 on his way to Yerushalayim. Now it's, I think, the Levaya in Yerushalayim on Lag Baimer, and we buried Yerushalayim. It's important to take a few moments of reflection, and I do encourage you to read the interview. I'll try to maybe send it out somehow. Conversations with the Rebbe, with Professor Branover. May Hashem help that the neshama of Yirmiyahu ben Reb Hertz have an aliyah v'kitzur ham n'sheich na'ofer b'hu b'teicham and b'seichet tegula shleima malkein b'reshenu Mashiach now, a freilich and happy Lag BaOmer.